Story 1 Cocktails to try: Palomas, Trinidad Sour, Aviation, Sazerac, Daiquiri, Penicillin, Bobby Burns, Oaxaca Old Fashioned, Toreador, Charlie Chaplin, Vodka Gimlet, Whiskey Smash, Tom Collins, Corpse Reviver, Dark, and Stormy, French 75, Moscow Mule, Negroni, The Godfather, Horse Jizz, Malort, Rusty Nail, The Last Word, The Stinger, Caipirinha, Snickers, Sidecar, Paper Plane, Fernet, Pim's Cup. Story 2 French 75s. Just be careful. They can sneak up on you. Story 3 I am an amateur bartender, which I think makes me an alcoholic. My drink of choice for New Year's is the Corpse Reviver. It was a precursor to the Bloody Mary and was originally supposed to cure a hangover. The original recipe called for drinking 5 of them in quick succession. I do not know how that worked, but 5 would almost kill me. Gin or bourbon if you prefer, Lillet Blanc, Cointreau, and lemon juice. Story 4 Along the same lines, what is the best way to handle ordering a drink listed here when the bartender obviously has no idea what you are referring to? I am assuming that in a local hangout that is relatively quiet, it is easy to hand your phone to the bartender, but that does not work in crowded places. Story 5 The Godfather. Equal parts amaretto and bourbon or scotch, poured directly over ice in a shallow old-fashioned glass. No nonsense. Tastes like magic. For those who like sweeter drinks, add cola. It will taste much like an adult Dr. Pepper. For those just learning of this drink, welcome to Alcoholics Anonymous. Many suggest changing to 3-to-1 or 2-to-1 in favor of whiskey. I love the sweet and smoky flavor of Jim Beam and Disaronno at 1-to-1, but each to their own. There are other cocktails in the same theme: Godmother, Amaretto and Gin; Goddaughter, Amaretto and Vodka; Godson, Amaretto and Rum. Story 6 Vodka Gimlets. My Nana told me they were her first experience with alcohol, and she liked them so much she slammed 8 of them. Then there was talk of my papa having to help her with her girdle, and I blocked out the rest. Story 7 Whiskey Smash. In a cocktail shaker, muddle a couple of lemon wedges with simple syrup. Add a few mint leaves and 1.5 to 2 ounces of whiskey. Shake and strain over fresh ice. It is a very refreshing summer drink. Unnamed Gin Cocktail. Combine 1.5 ounces of gin, half an ounce of Saint Germain, half an ounce of lemon juice, and a few dashes of grapefruit bitters in a shaker. Shake and strain over fresh ice. It is as refreshing as the Whiskey Smash if you prefer gin. Story 8 Cocktail bartender here with strong opinions. My number 1 pick is the Trinidad Sour, purely because it comes out of left field for most drinkers. The base spirit is bitters instead of one of the usual spirits. It is spicy, rich, complex, and very well balanced despite containing a shot and a half of bitters. I personally prefer equal parts rye whiskey and Angostura bitters, but I love rye. Gin fans should try the Aviation. It turned me from, I do not really like gin, to turns out I just do not like gin and tonic. It is floral, fragrant, and quite tart. If you like an old-fashioned, try the Sazerac. It is always a benchmark for any bar I visit. If I wander into a bar that calls itself a cocktail bar and they cannot make a Sazerac, I immediately default to a bourbon and cola because I no longer trust them with more complicated drinks. It is sweet, rich, spicy, and beautiful. This classic often uses rye whiskey, but I sometimes prefer cognac when a good one is available. Vodka fans should try a proper Cosmopolitan. Most crowd-pleasing recipes are sugary and awful. A real Cosmopolitan should be a light pink and opaque. If it is a rich pink or purple and you can see through it, walk away. Try 50 milliliters vodka, 20 milliliters Cointreau, 15 milliliters cranberry juice, 20 milliliters lime juice, and a burnt orange zest garnish. The lime being dominant over the cranberry is important. My version is booze forward. For rum, a daiquiri will always be my number 1 rum cocktail, though I would serve some recipes with less sugar. Try a Hemingway daiquiri for a drier, more tart alternative. If you prefer dark rum, try a dark rum old-fashioned. Whiskey sour and Scotch fans should try the Penicillin. It is a ginger whiskey sour style that floats a bit of smoky scotch on top for a bite. It is one of my favorites. If you want something darker and boozier with scotch, try a Bobby Burns, which is at its core Scotch Manhattan with a touch of Benedictine for sweetness. Tequila fans can be hard to pin down because tastes range from margarita lovers to people who want something unusual. If you like whiskey as well, try an Oaxaca Old Fashioned, which is one of my favorites. If you prefer rum or vodka styles, try the Toreador, a margarita twist that substitutes triple sec for apricot brandy. You can also substitute tequila into other recipes. It is surprisingly versatile. Try the penicillin with tequila and a smoky mezcal for the bite instead of scotch. Speaking of apricot brandy, a Charlie Chaplin is one of my go-tos for people who do not like tasting the booze in a cocktail. If you like French martinis, this might be your new favorite. The bartender scene can be a bit judgmental, which stops many drinkers from admitting they do not know what to order. People often default to a familiar choice like an old-fashioned or a French martini. If you are in a small, cozy bar and it is not too busy, talk to the bartender. We love helping you find the exact drink for you, and that may involve a bit of experimentation behind the bar. If the bartender is not busy and is unwilling to help, you are in the wrong bar. I have tried to cover alternatives and lesser-known options, but classics like the Negroni, Manhattan, Old Fashioned, and Martini are still essential and worth trying. Also try Fernet Branca and Cola. I think it is the nectar of the gods. All measurements above are in milliliters. These cocktails are most easily found at a bar that calls itself a cocktail bar. Your average pub or dive bar might not have the ingredients for some of these, so when in doubt, ask. I am in Sydney, Australia, which has a great small bar scene. I will not give my exact location, but if you are in Sydney, Google small cocktail bars and you will find solid options. A big tip is to ask the bartender for recommendations. You might start at the bar I work in or find it listed by other bartenders. If service is unfriendly when it is not busy, move to another bar. A few places here are guilty of that. Story 9. Dark and Stormy. Gosling's Rum, Ginger Beer, and a Lime Wedge. Story 10. From my experience, a surprisingly large number of people haven't even heard of caipirinha, but it's one of the best drinks ever. Just don't buy the cheapest cachaca. Story 11. The Last Word. Equal parts gin, maraschino liqueur, green chartreuse, and lime juice. Shaken and served straight up. The Stinger. 6 parts good dry brandy and 1 part cream de menthe. Stirred and served over ice, though I prefer mine straight up. Classic Martini. 2 ounces gin, 1 ounce dry vermouth, and 3 to 5 dashes of orange bitters. Stirred and served straight up with a lemon twist or a single olive. Do not order this if they keep their vermouth at room temperature, or if they only have Martini Rosso or Gallo vermouth. Vermouth oxidizes more quickly when left out at room temperature. If they do not stock a quality vermouth, it usually means they do not use it often and it may have gone sour. Story 12. Sazerac is a classic cocktail. Rinse a lowball glass with absinthe. In a separate mixing glass, stir rye whiskey, Peychaud bitters, and a dash of simple syrup with ice. Strain into the absinthe rinsed glass and garnish with an orange peel. Listen to smooth jazz and sip slowly. Story 13. Caipirinha. It is unlikely that your local bar will have the cachaca required to make it, but if you can find a bar that does, it is dangerously smooth. It is just cachaca, sugar, and lime shaken and poured over ice. The drink is native to Brazil, and I have not had anything quite like it. Story 14. I give everyone a Snickers shot when they ask for a surprise or offer to buy me a shot because it is my favorite. 10 milliliters of Kahlua, 10 milliliters of Frangelico, and 10 milliliters of Bailey's with a pinch of salt shaken on top make it taste much like a Snickers bar and are great for those who do not tolerate the taste and burn of alcohol well. Story 15. Salty dogs with fresh grapefruit. Even better with a couple of dashes of rhubarb bitters. Story 16. Sidecar. I had this a couple of weeks ago for the first time. It is an absolute delight. Story 17. Vodka soda. I'm serious. Use decent vodka, very cold ice, sparkling water, and a wedge of lime. Imagine Jeff the ice cube. If Jeff is just barely frozen, He will melt when you add the other ingredients and water down your drink. That's awful. But if Jeff is at minus 25 degrees Celsius, minus 13 degrees Fahrenheit, he will first absorb about 25 degrees Celsius, about 45 degrees Fahrenheit of heat before he starts to melt. That is what makes the big difference. Actually cooling your drink instead of just watering it down. Having really cold ice, frosty rather than wet on the surface, makes any drink taste about 20% better. Or use lemon if you prefer more fruity. Use lime if you prefer more bitter. Story 18. This whole thread is taking me back to my days of playing Kingdom of Loathing. Story 19. Paper plane. Equal parts bourbon, Aperol, Amaro Nonino, and lemon juice. Story 20. Tokyo tea is a good value drink. It is basically a Long Island iced tea made with Midori instead of Coca-Cola. It is almost entirely liquor. Depending on how it is made, you usually get the equivalent of a couple of shots for the price of one. It is surprisingly palatable. Story 21. We used to play golf in my dormitory where every room was a hole, and the room host provided a drink for guests. One day I found a drink called Flaming Dr. Pepper that seemed interesting. Here is the recipe. 3 parts amaretto, 1 part high-proof liquor such as 151 proof rum, 1 pint of beer. Pour the amaretto into a shot glass, followed by the high-proof liquor. Light the alcohol and drop the shot glass into the beer. It makes the beer taste just like Dr. Pepper and it is amazing. Story 22. Proper cider, especially when it is warm and sunny, makes your smile grow wider. Story 23. Home bartender here. In the winter, nothing beats a hot buttered rum. About 6 ounces of hot water heated to tea-making temperature. 1 shot of dark rum, about 1.5 ounces. Pat of butter. Freshly grated nutmeg. A dash of ground cinnamon. A dash of allspice. 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. Stir briefly to melt the butter. Then enjoy. Story 24. Gin and sin. 2 ounces of decent gin. 1 ounce of lemon juice. 1 ounce of orange juice. And a splash of grenadine. Shaken and strained. Refreshing, crisp, and semi-tart and sweet. Story 25. One of my favorites is the penicillin, and I have only just started seeing it on more bar menus. It is made with blended scotch, lemon juice, and a honey and ginger syrup, shaken with ice and served over ice with a super smoky Islay scotch floated on top. Story 26. Mojito. What is underrated is making it the right way. Use crushed ice, Cuban rum, and properly muddled mint, not torn up but gently pressed. It is remarkably refreshing and light. I did not include all ingredients or the full recipe. I was highlighting the parts often done wrong. Technique separates a good mojito from a bad one, which is why I called it underrated. Story 27. I chase a shot of whiskey with a bottle of beer. I just like making them. Story 28. If I am busy, try a beer you have never had. I do not have time to listen to you vaguely remembering the ingredients of a drink you had in a foreign country. Story 29. A sidecar is a classic cocktail that no one seems to have heard of. Story 30. I am a bartender and bar owner. Let me tell you about the proper, traditional martini. Excellent and easy. Chill a martini glass by filling it with ice and water. In a shaker filled with ice, pour 1.5 ounces of your favorite gin. I find Watershed 4 Peel Gin from Columbus, Ohio to be my current favorite for this recipe, but use whatever gin you enjoy. Next, and this is crucial, add dry vermouth. It adds a slight oiliness, sweetness, and tang to counterbalance the gin's flavors. The amount is up to you. I use 1 ounce for a ratio of 3 parts gin to 2 parts vermouth. Stir the mixture in the ice. Do not shake it. Stirring keeps the drink clear and homogeneous. Discard the ice and water from the chilled martini glass. Take a lemon peel and rub the outer skin around the rim of the glass to add a bright citrus aroma. Strain the cocktail into the glass and serve with the lemon peel twist. Drink and look sharp in your local watering hole. Story 31. New Jersey Turnpike. It's a party shot. Ask the bartender to take the bar mat and pour it into a shot glass. Story 32. Micheladas are like a beer Bloody Mary. You do not need to be eating Mexican food to enjoy one, though it does help. Story 33. Lagavulin. I work in a pub in Scotland where I was born and raised, and it blows my mind how many people have not tried this glorious whiskey. Yes, I might be biased, but I think it is the best alcoholic drink ever made. Try it with a few drops of water if you are not a whiskey drinker, or even if you are, as it is very peaty. It will change your view on peaty whiskeys. Story 34. There is nothing better than a hot toddy when you have a cold. The warm water helps clear congestion. The honey soothes the throat. The lemon juice helps loosen mucus, and the whiskey provides warmth and mild numbness. Use high-quality whiskey. On a cold day, this drink will do wonders. Story 35. This is coming in really handy because tomorrow is my 21st birthday. Story 36. Former bartender. Try a Moscow Mule. Some places might simply call it a mule. Top-shelf Russian vodka, ginger beer, and lime juice served in a copper mug. Easy to make, delicious, and suitable for all seasons. Story 37. As a tiki bar enthusiast, I prefer a classic Mai Tai, not one filled with orange or pineapple juice. The original recipe uses lime juice, rums, orgeat, curacao, and syrup. Story 38. Miami Vice if you have a sweet tooth. I saw an American drinking one when I was on holiday and asked what it was. I drank many Miami Vice cocktails morning, noon, and night. Pina colada and strawberry daiquiri in 2 or 3 layers, white and red. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.